Alright, that's it for the games. Let's take
Hello,
down this
everyone,
evil
and
team
welcome to
leader.
episode 24. I'm Gabe, and today
Oh,
we'll
hopefully
have
take her
our
down
final
anyway.
battle with the evil team
Oh,
leader.
it's the final battle, we
and
have to,
a bunch
right?
of new Pokemon. But first, a quick recap. In the last
Previously
episode,
on
you
Pokemon
rescued
Amber.
the researchers at the top of
I'm
Mount
just see how
Paleo
this final
from the
battle's gonna
remaining
go
Team
down.
Arc
Who knows, maybe we'll
grunts.
learn one more thing about the
Psycat
past and
escaped
jazz and
again,
those
but you
missing
defeated Mark, the
transmission
Ice-type head
points and stuff
researcher,
like
and
that.
acquired the next access
Could be
code.
interesting
Now you just
stuff,
gotta catch
say
up to
the
that
least.
Team Arc leader.
Hopefully we can take down Pokemon, Team Arc once and for all. I imagine that we've been running into them more throughout other than just the story points, of course.
Route
like maybe just a
11
random
is
grunt here
littered
or
with
there.
slippery ice
Maybe
flows.
just thinking,
You try and watch your step, but you still end up slipping down icy slides from time to time. You
Running
spot
right into a
wild
mammal
Pokemon
swine.
playing on the slopes like Fractip, Icequama, Aurorus, Primal Persian, and Hadrotoot. You
Man, I can
are
just see
luckily
the
able to
anime
just
like they're
follow
sliding down one
Psycat's
of the
footprints
ranches,
pretty
and then
easily
only find out they're
through the
sliding down
snow.
on Aurora's
And this
neck.
frozen landscape is a little bit easier to navigate on the way down the mountain. The wild Pokemon here are quite difficult, and as you battle,
I'd say.
two of your Pokemon
I imagine
are
they're in
ready
the
to
40s
evolve.
or something.
Yes,
Oh, hello.
let's take a look at what a couple of our primal fossils evolve into.
Can't do
First
much.
off,
Let's see what you do.
Grumpy Omanite is going to get long. It'll
I
be
feel like you've seen
inspired
this.
by
Oh,
the
maybe you think it's something
Orthoceras
else.
fossils that are commonly found around the world.
Oops, sorry.
These spiky little guys were very successful, and I wanted to reflect that by having this design here. Also, Omastar
I
always
feel like
fell
S-Code
into
did
the
a design
Gen
similar
1
for
designs
Pokemon
that just aren't
Science and
different
Magic.
enough camp
With his,
for me. So
Squid
we're gonna
Pokemon.
go
Forget
in
the
a different
name,
direction. The face remains
Apologies,
nice and
S-Code.
grumpy.
It's been a while.
Though now it has like a little trident-looking plate over its eyes. You know, little nautical theming. I had to resist the desire to over-design the shell with spikes and whatnot, and
Give it
landed on a
8,000
much
spikes.
simpler
What is
set
this,
of
the
markings
90s?
that reference the banded
This was Ghost
chambers
Written by
on
Rob
real
Liefeld.
Orthoceras fossils.
Except it can't be.
And I
You've seen the
usually
feet.
don't talk about stats, but the original Omastar Dex entry talks about how it went extinct because it was too slow to survive, which
The opposite happens here.
felt like a dumb reasoning. So
Look,
it'll get a
it's Gen 1.
mediocre
You got a lot of
speed
to
stat,
pass.
but I'm gonna give it an ability.
It's quite an interesting design, to say the least.
Oh, and of course, colors
Kinda
are
haunting,
similar
to be
to
honest.
Omanite, with the shiny colors being the same as normal Omastar. All right, let's take a look at Primal Omastar, the cone Pokemon.
This thing's creepy. And it's even
Incorrectly
creepier
restored
with the
Omanites
shiny
are
color.
unable to develop their shells into the conical shape of Primal Omastar. This streamlined shape allows this efficient predator to reach great speeds.
Although I do think it's an
Previous
interesting idea
theories
to
about
take
their
the
extinction
swirl
being the
shell
result
and
of
turn that right
limited
into a
mobility
stick.
appear to be
That's
false.
some inspirational
And its
stuff.
ability is Speed Boost, so that just lets it get faster and faster every turn.
So it dies
Omastar
from being
is
too slow,
long,
but it speeds up very
speedy,
easily. I guess that's how
and
you
it's still
counter
pretty
the
formidable,
bad speed
even though it's
stats.
just a mono water type. Alright, but let's take a look at what little Archon evolves into. Now, a lot of the
As long as
primal
its
fossil
ability is
evolutions
fine, we'll
are
be fine.
more drastic changes, but this one is about fine-tuning my favorite fossil design. So, things are
really
just a little
fun.
bit more subtle here. Our little ground type is taking to the sky, so obviously it has the same flying pose. We're
Naturally.
continuing with the Microraptor as the inspiration, which means that the back legs are getting even larger fans of feathers, since Microraptor really did have 4 gliding wings.
Oh,
Next up,
okay.
just to show how bird-like this animal is, our line work is going to separate the mouth into more of a beak, and we'll be simplifying the hand a bit. I wasn't sure
Man.
if changing the hand was going to be necessary, but I am elaborating on enough other elements that this simplification helped to balance the whole design. Oh, and lastly,
Okay.
the head and tail are changed from being scaly to feathered, with a nice big
Fine with
tail
me.
fan at the end. Small changes, but I like
Make it
them.
more of a feathery
Oh, and I
dinosaur.
can't
That's
remember if I
okay. A
said
bit
this
more up to date with
when
times.
we talk through Primal Urchin. But this line's ground and flying types are a reference to a likely incomplete but still fun theory about how dinosaurs learned to fly. Wing-assisted incline running theory showed that terrestrial dinosaurs with wing arms likely used them for stabilization when they were running at high speeds, and got in some
So
good
they were
flaps
like
whenever
kids
running
when
up
they're
hills
pretending to
or
be
climbing.
airplanes.
So,
Meow,
that running
meow.
and wing
It's a fun
combination
idea.
are reflected here.
You want to hug a tight
and
corner?
like before, the colors are all about the iridescent feathering that Microraptor actually had, but of course, if that's too subdued for you, you can always get loud with the shiny colors of the original. Alright, here is Primal Archeops, the first bird Pokemon.
I do not
This
like the
adaptable
colors and the
bird
shiny.
is just
Like,
as
I know
comfortable
it's because you're
flying as it is
representing the
running or
original, but
climbing.
that does not
When
look
flying,
good. I'm sorry.
Primal Archeops hold their feet out to
And this is
act
the
as a
case for the
second set of
original, or
wings.
the new color
Their iridescent
wings.
feathers give off a cool shimmer, and sometimes this is all that is seen as they travel at high speeds. Its ability is again kind of a mirror of the normal ability that it has to feed us. So Optimist, that means that whenever the HP of this Pokemon drops below 50%,
There, you instantly
its
made it
attack
good.
and special
That's all you
attack
had to
is
do. You didn't have
boosted
to
by
redesign the entire
25%.
freaking Pokemon. Just
And
give
I
it its
gotta say, I
ability
love
that's
it.
good.
It is not the flashiest redesign, but I think that these little tweaks make my favorite fossil Pokemon even cooler.
Yes,
But you'll have
and
to
better.
let me know what you think of these two fossil Pokemon. Which one would you put on your team?
The
Now,
Archeops.
Looking proudly at your new evolution.
The Ammonite
it
scares
seems
me.
that one of your other Pokemon
Looks
is
like
a
it's gonna
bit
eat my
jealous.
feet.
Yes, your Relicanth is
What?
very excited to see these other evolutions, but
You're giving it
wants
an
to
evolution?
raise its body out of the water so that you will notice it as well. It struggles to do so, and you feel bad for it. So you decide to tie your air balloon item to it to give it just a tiny bit of assistance. And what's this? It seems that its motivation
I bet you
to leave
no
the
one
water
guessed that this is
and
how the
that
freaking
extra
how
lift
Relicanth
from
would
the
evolve.
balloon is all that
Or the
Relicanth
hot air
needed
balloon would be
to
good for, unless
evolve.
someone said it as a
Now,
joke.
I know that the Relicanth and Tiktaalik are not super closely related.
The entire point of the regular
I want
Canth is
our
the fact that they
neglected
haven't changed with
lobe-finned
times
buddy
because
to
they've
make
just
his
been
way
fine
up
as is.
onto the land, and Tiktaalik is a great inspiration.
But again, to be
A
fair,
prime
this is
example
fine.
of a transitional
I mean, it's a
species
fan thing at the
leaving
end of the
water
day,
for dry
so I'm not
land.
gonna be too
Tiktaalik
mad.
didn't so much, as walk as
Although,
it just kind of
The best thing example I can think of is Dunsparce's
gonna be using
evolution.
that
Dun
locomotion for
Dunsparce.
Relicanth's
Okay, we
evolution.
gave an evolution. Now
This
stop bitching.
Yoga-looking
Just
cobra
leave
pose
us alone.
also lets our little guy just look so darn pleased with
Droppa
himself
should have
that
been
he managed to
Dunsparce's
leave the
evolution.
water. In fact,
That's
I
just my
moved
opinion.
Relicanth's iconic red
Even has the
hexagon
coloring.
to the side of its head so that it could have happy
I like how you
little
turn
rosy
into a
cheeks.
toad,
I also
essentially.
figured that it would be so happy to be, walking about that it would open its eyes wide to take it all in.
Imagine this
The
is a reference to the
pupil
first
is
fish
still,
to
like,
step on land. I
elongated
know
to both
the whale
reference
was already done,
Relicanth's
but here's a
previous
fish.
eyes and kind of show that its eyesight is underdeveloped still. I fumbled a bit with the colors,
Because
but
whales aren't
eventually
fish,
landed on
they're
something
mammals.
that felt pretty balanced. Oh, and since our fish is so happy to have crawled out of the water and put his swimming days behind him, we'll be tackling another unused type. Alright, let's take a look at Tikatanthic,
Normal
the
rock.
crawling Pokemon. Many
You kept
Relicanths
it rock
strive to
type.
leave the
Okay.
water, but they require assistance to do so.
I like this thing's
Tikanthic
design. Both
is
are good.
finally able to
Shiny
lift
and
its
original.
body off the ground slightly with strong lobe fins. Access to dry land has left this Pokemon in a perpetual state of glee. Tikanthic love to slowly waddle around and show off their new mobility. They are forever
If
grateful to
I
any
suddenly
trainer
grew
who
extra
helped
legs,
them
I'd be starting
evolve.
them off
And
too.
its ability is sturdy. And that just
Sure.
lets it survive with 1 HP when it would normally be
It's
knocked
a
out by
rock
a single
type that
attack.
comes basically
With this
in-house.
surprising evolution dragging itself behind
I gave you a balloon and now
return
suddenly you
to
can
sea
walk.
level,
Sure.
warmer air, and the gate of Neo Outpost.
I imagine like,
This appears
how
to
do
be
I
the
get this
main
thing's
dock of the
evolution? Looking up
image.
online. Give it an
Cargo
air
containers
balloon.
are
How would I
stacked
think
high,
of that?
Trucks seem ready to take heavy equipment.
That is one of
all
those
over the
guided dang it
You hear
moments.
shouting and spot Psycad knocking her way through a crowd of researchers and workers.
Making my way
You
downtown,
race after
walking
her as
past.
she heads for the dock.
Get back here, you
Other researchers
biatch!
stand in her way, allowing you to finally catch up to her.
No, not you again. Can't you just let me be?
No.
You don't understand the danger we're all in. That's it. Time to wipe the floor with you and be on my way.
Well, could you elaborate?
Psycad attacks you again.
I
with
don't
her
want to.
Dunklivish.
This is one of those that's like, hey,
Throw result.
we have to stop her immediately because she's a
Repent
threat. Well, why don't we hear her
and
out first?
Leparto.
Nah.
But you've had plenty of experience with these correctly restored.
It's
Galar
interesting that we just like
Pokemon,
run to the
and you're knocking
main leader
all of
by
them out,
chance.
no
Like there's
problem.
no like build up with grunts
On
or
the
anything like
ropes,
that. It's just like nah, I'm right
Psychic
here.
calls
It's
out
different to
her
say the
final
least.
Pokemon. All right. Unlike
Okay,
the
a
other
final form.
modern elemental monkeys, Simirage is getting an evolution. We're
Nice.
bringing in inspiration from two places. Firstly, the Gigantopithecus.
I reminded
This
Turk
was a
from Tarzan.
gargantuan
It's mostly
ape
the Mohawk,
that
though,
I
to be
really
fair.
wanted to get in here somewhere. Some claim that the
Turk and
Gigantopithecus
Mufasa,
didn't
no, not
actually go
Mufasa.
extinct,
Turk and Rafiki
it's
did
what's
the fusion
responsible
dance.
for like Bigfoot and Yeti sightings. So yeah, it's a giant ape. Very cool. And secondly,
Yes.
second inspiration, it is retaining its fairy and dark typing,
Oh,
which we will be using to further explore the ideas of mysticism, spirituality, and religion.
and how do I kick?
Probably
this
a
thing's
little
butt?
heavy for Pokemon, but
I'll
it's
say.
not overt.
Then
in the
again, he
final
changed the
design.
type, so I have to
So,
keep
I think
reminding
we're
myself
okay.
of that.
Tufts of fur give it a kind of pope-like or shamanistic headdress. Again,
Where's your
sort of
god
line of
now?
being two on the
It's
nose,
like,
but
where's
I
your
think it's okay.
Arceus now?
Also, it's going to have a fuzzy cape going around and long fuzzy sleeves. Just hints at, ceremonial garb. Oh, and of course, Simirage's sharpened stick has become a staff now. I
Of
did
course.
resist the urge to put any religious iconography at the top of it.
Probably for the
Lastly,
best.
It gets a sedentary pose, which makes more sense with the dex entry.
Okay.
Alright, let's take a look at Gigantope, the fairy tale Pokemon.
Interesting name.
Simirage exposed to the stories of a
The text
mysterious
entry,
old
literally
book
the Pope.
become
What?
Gigantope. They
You can't just
weave
do that. I
fantastical
did.
and horrifying stories to entrance other Pokemon.
I can do this
Even
thing walking
humans
around with a
must
stick
be
on my
cautious
chest.
of their dark influences. Gigantope prefer to be feared by other Pokemon and expect berries as tribute. And its ability remains
Give me
gluttony,
berries or I'll
since it
pray to
wants to eat all
Arceus to
those
step on
berries
your
all the time.
house.
You make a mental note that Psycad must have used the old book item to evolve her Gigantope,
book
just in
item,
case
okay.
you want to do the same with yours. Psycad
Here's a book. I call it the Holy
desperately,
Bibli.
but is unsuccessful in stopping you.
The name's
She
still
falls to
pending.
the ground, and the contents of her bag spill out. More of the mysterious levitating
What are you
stones.
doing with all these things? What are these
Researchers and
things?
dock
Tell
workers
me.
Close in around her.
No, you don't understand. I'm trying to save the Pokemon of the Paleon region. A great threat lies dormant, and Professor Ginkgo intends to wake it. They are
What?
keeping it a secret from you all. You, assistant, I implore you to go see for yourself. Take this Pokeride signal. Call on my Laparto to carry you across the waves. Get to the Sunazone lab at the center of Paleon Bay and learn the truth.
The other researchers and dock workers carry Psycad away and collect the levitating stones to return to Professor Ginkgo. But for some reason, you can't help but believe Psycad. You look out at the waves and call out her Laparto. But you'll continue on to Route 12 in the next
Oh!
episode.
I was getting
Thank you
invested
all
in the
so much
plot.
for
Like I
watching.
made the
Please
comment
leave a
last
like
time.
if you
Like we
enjoyed the
heard the
video.
professor was evil.
As
It's like,
always, I'd
wait,
love
I didn't
to
always
hear your
predict
thoughts
the
on today's
future.
episode
That
down
was
in
an
the comments
that was an
below.
offhand comment.
Do you like
Dang
the
it!
new fossil evolutions, or do you prefer one of the new designs? Oh, a big thank you
I think
to Vanessa
Arceus
for
takes the win
voicing
in this
Psycad
one when it
again,
comes to
and,
the fossil
oh,
Pokemon,
the
and for
bonus
the new
episodes
one,
we'll be picking back up
the-
again. And now that
I
wedding
forgot
things
its
are
name.
finally over, things are calmed down. Bonus episodes.
the
still happen
Simirage
once a month, So
evolution.
keep an eye out for that.
that one
And I'll
wins
actually
in
see
the
you
new
for some
Pokemon thing.
unique three-stage
I'm not too
designs
thrilled
in the
about the
next
Relicanth
episode.
evolution just because
Bye.
it defeats the purpose. But again, it's a fan Pokemon at the end of the day, so I'm not gonna like go into an unbridled rage or something. I'll just be like, I don't agree with that. But hey, your Pokemon region, do what you want. And yeah. I made it off and comment, and now it's like, wait, no, something interesting is happening. Damn it, we gotta go into designing grass types next. I don't want new Pokemon, I want the story to continue. This is one of those ones where it's like, I know this isn't the entire point of the thing, but shut up, I care about the story. Like an equivalent of like in wrestling, it's like, I don't want to see you do 600 friggin' flips, those are cool, but what I want to see is an interesting friggin' story happening here. I don't care. Ay, ay, ay. That's why I gave up the freaking Dragon Ball universe after a while. It just became we're doing the same thing over and over again and not telling a story. We're just having freaking 500 fight scenes that go on forever. And we're not progressing. We're just doing it. We're stuck in a limbo forever. It's so annoying. And then when we do get a story, it's bad. At least, or maybe it starts promising and then it gets lame again. I'm going on to a rant and we still got another episode to go, so this is pointless. The point is, okay, the new Pokemon are fine overall. And, yeah, it looks like something is going on with Professor Ginkgo. Maybe she didn't need to tell us all the things. Interesting. Let's see what happens in the next episode. Well, not the next episode. The next episode is Design Grass type Pokemon, so we're not going to progress the story. And I'm going to get into a rant again. So, let's just move on to the next part now. And finally, we have Designing Your Grass types in
Hello,
Pokemon Amber
everyone, and welcome to another
24.5.
bonus episode.
I'm calming down a
Gabe,
little bit
and
from the
today
end of the last
we're going
one,
to be
and now let's
continuing
go
with a
into
prompt from a
some
long
brand
while
new
ago,
Pokemon.
creating new 3-stage designs. In particular, we're going to add some new grass types to the Palean region.
Okay,
With what I
sounds
believe
fun.
is a unique split evolution pattern. All right,
Okay.
let's start
What,
off with
Plankton?
a comment that helped inspire the
Well,
line.
again, Plankton, we're
First
kind of
Waddle
like
D
Paleozoic in a way.
suggested we do something based
It
on
was the
simple
creation
machines.
start of
And
all life,
That's
in a
just
sense.
so much fun. Not only that, but it lets us do a split evolution with someone else's idea. So, almost as if we're crafting, we're gonna have to gather
Story
some
arc.
raw materials before we start making any kind of machine.
Of course.
Our first stage is going to be based
No
on
intro.
fibrous and versatile plant materials. We're going to give it 2 big tufts that it holds above its head in a way that, like they're just starting to wrap around one
If
another.
only I could draw it
Body
right.
plan wise, I was also excited to make a round plant, kind of like Badoo or
I can
Bouncy
imagine this thing
or
using
the new
its like
Smoliv. Honestly,
things
it's hard to screw up this kind of
to like
super
fly,
simple,
sort of
cute
like
design.
tails and stuff like the
Slap
hedgehog.
a couple
How
little
does he
head
fly
legs
like
on
that without
there,
getting
big old happy
twisted up with
face,
its butt?
and of course,
Just shut up.
Oh, it also probably doesn't make the most sense.
I can
this
see
and
that
the
being
Badoo
like
line
Singers'
to
response.
be
So how does
closely
sales
related,
do
but
that?
I like
Shut
they
up.
both have,
Just shut up.
Arm, vine, petal.
It's a
stuff
video
that
game.
Twists around on top of their heads. It's fun. And yeah, the colors felt good. Something soft and reed or straw colored. And the orange breaks it up a bit, and it's pulled from an Egyptian papyrus illustration.
Walk like an Egyptian.
Other than that, I don't know. Not much else to say for this simple design. Here is Fibri, the fibrous Pokemon.
Okay, looks
The
good.
tough, flat fronds on this Pokemon's head are lightweight and strong. Fibri enjoy weaving one another's fibers into ornate braids. And given the chance, they will attempt to do the same to other Pokemon or even
You've
people.
only got like 3
Trainers
music
should
tracks.
wear a hat to avoid getting Fibri stuck in their
Nothing
hair.
wrong with the money
And
copyright,
its
but
ability
can we
is
get more
Leaf
than
Guard, and
2?
that prevents major status ailments during sunny weather. It's pretty adorable, and I think we can safely retcon the Palean region to have this little guy show up on some of the earlier routes.
Sure, why not?
But let's see how it could evolve
About like
to
3 or 4 or
incorporate First
something.
Waddle Dee's simple machine suggestion.
Hey,
If you
Waddle
thought that
Doopers!
Fibri was round, oh, have I got the evolution for you? In fact, I would say
It's
that
a literal
this is
circle.
really good direction for
Hi,
it to move in.
Whirlipede.
It's maybe some unfamiliar ground to tread, so I hope you can roll with it. It's a wheel. It's a wheel. Fibri is going to evolve into braided vines that wrap around a big hunk of stone.
That's
So
fun.
that it's
I like that
now in the
idea.
rock typing.
We're also kind of
I
basing off of the
thought
caveman
about putting
first
the
wheel
face on,
theory,
like, one side
but
of the wheel,
also
which
giving
would
it
have
some
allowed
plant
it
life
be
to
much
it.
more expressive.
That's
But I
fun.
just liked it having a better idea of where it was going while it was rolling. So
Okay,
now
man,
there's an
first wheel
eye on
theory
either
isn't
side.
really
And
good. You know what I'm trying to say.
Kind of like Whirlipede. Now, losing the mouth and a lot of the recognizable features, I knew that it would need some way to emote still. So I gave it a couple of arms. These braided vines would be used to drag itself around, interact with things, express itself, and flail above its head whenever it's rolling around. This certainly falls.
I can also
in with
imagine
the
that
other
like
designs
it's
that just don't
driving
work quite
around,
as well
for lack of a
in
better
2D.
term, in
You
the
kinda need to see
area,
it,
and then it
having
sees
fun
like, I
rolling
don't know,
around, I think.
a river up
Oh,
ahead,
and
so it just like
The
plants
colors of the
its
shiny
things
were also
down
pretty great.
to
I
catapult
tried
over
making
the
wheel more of like
river.
a golden color, which just made it look like a wheel of cheese. So we're gonna go with that and have a
Gorgonzola.
cheese wheel shiny. All right, let's
Why
see.
not? The
Five
cheese
Roll,
phone.
the
Clearly an
wheel
emergency.
Pokemon. This Pokemon is actually just a collection of strong vines. Fibroll
got
latch
speed
themselves
boost.
onto
Oh,
round
boy.
rocks in order to roll
I'm
about.
okay with this thing looking like
If their
cheese.
rock
That's
ever
fun.
becomes too damaged, they will expertly craft another from nearby materials. Scientists suspect that in modern times this Pokemon may find wheels of other materials, but that is yet to be observed.
Oh,
Its
it's only a
ability is
theory.
speed
Gotcha.
Boost, since it's a wheel. That means the Pokemon's speed stat boosts every turn. Again, it doesn't work nearly as well in 2D, but 3D modeling just isn't in my wheelhouse. But I think it's still a lot
I got
of
the
fun.
idea. It looks
I
like
always
fun.
struggle coming up with Objectmon, so I'm thankful for the suggestion. But let's see what the third form may be. What's a slightly more complex simple machine? Time for a little pulley system. This ended up being more difficult to figure out than I thought it would be.
Looks like
I knew that I
Matang.
wanted it to be these, rope-like vines weaving through three wheels, but I didn't want it to remain as faceless, as the last design. But getting a face on that front top wheel was difficult. The idea that helped it from being just too boring was incorporating a crossed X of vines. This is like a subtle nod to the Kling Clang line, having, it's got a little X for one of its eyes. In fact,
Don't say that out loud.
I don't think it's
Escodite is
unreasonable to assume
screaming
that
somewhere.
this somehow led to the Kling Clang line. A
No,
few
again-
tufts of plant fiber also give our
Escode
design
Knight then
the
invents a
suggestion of
time
canyons,
machine to go back
along
in
with a couple of
time and
cute
burn
little
this
pigtails
thing
on
from
top.
existing.
Colors were surprisingly tough as well. Getting the stone and the rope
It's
to
like-
gel with one another.
It's like
took
a
while,
joke I saw from a
but we ended up
YouTuber.
with something pretty balanced.
Sees
Alright,
the on Twitter,
take a look at
invents
the
time
third
machine,
stage.
goes back in
Roll.
time. Oh
The
look, the first
machine
thing
Pokemon.
crawling onto land.
This
Shoots it
ancient
dead.
Pokemon has threaded its fibrous body through a series of
Like,
carved wheels.
a little
to become
extreme, but I get it.
a simple machine.
This looks like the
Whirlpool
original
are
design is
always looking
autumn
to
colors,
perfect
and
their
the
pulley
shiny
system
is the
with
spring
new
colors.
objects whenever able. They are able to coast on their wheels, much like a bicycle would, and have been observed giving other Pokemon and trainers high-speed rides. Its ability stays speed boost, so it'll just get faster and faster. Again, I have to thank First Waddle Dee for giving me a prompt to push me out of my comfort zone and try something like this. I'm pretty
quite a
happy
wild
with how
design.
these turned out. I also like that lore-wise, it lends itself pretty
It
well
grows
to
more
regional
wheels.
variants. Maybe it could get a metal wheel, or Whirlpool ends up looking like a film projector, or
That'd be
something
fun.
fun like that. If you have any wild regional ideas, I'd love to hear them down in the comments below.
I got
But
nothing.
This isn't the end of our
I'm a
designs
viewer,
today.
not a thinker.
Going all the way back to Fibri, it's going
And now
to
the
get
other
an
cross
ultimate
of the evolution.
that leads to another 3-stage line. Now, Stuff
Yay!
and Things suggested we do something with the art of making paper. And this let us meld our two lines into one. So, what could our fibrous plant evolve into? Yes,
A
time
piece of paper.
for a lost and torn scroll. A scroll.
Gee,
is
Patrick,
an
what did you
object
ask
mod that
Santa
I'm
for?
seriously
Another piece of
surprised
paper.
Game Freak has not done yet. Our scroll is going to be slightly unrolled so that we can both get space for the face while retaining the visually interesting curl at the top. Maintaining a little bit of
I saw
vinage.
this thing on the
It
thumbnail
also
of the
is gonna
original. I
get
was
some
very confused
strings
to what it
with
was
little
like. Is that
tassels.
supposed to be
Oh, and the
like?
tassel shape is actually a reference to the reeds used to make ancient
I don't know.
papyrus.
I
went
blanked out
back
the
and
term.
forth on
The thing you put
how
on your
the face would be
windows,
represented, but
blinds
I
or something
figured
like that.
using
A
negative
towel.
space on the scroll
Mr.
would be the most
Hanky from
dynamic.
South Park.
It would also clearly illustrate the flat nature of its body. And I waffled
Blinds,
quite a
I
bit
think
with
that's
the
it.
typing. Both
Curtains,
this and
curtains.
the final stage could have gone a
I'm an
few
idiot.
different directions. Obviously, the grass typing is gonna stay because, it's paper. But especially with this face, it could have been a ghost type. Ghost stories are a
It did
thing,
look a
and,
little
I mean, what is
ghosty when I
paper
saw
if
the
not
thumbnail.
mushed up and dried plant corpse puree? I mean, it also could have been psychic too, helping unlock the mind's potential, or even fairy, fairy stories and the whimsy that comes with fiction. But in the end, I decided that we would go in a different direction and give some love to an underrepresented type in third stage evolutions. It will have a diverse move pool to reference those other type possibilities, but it will be a fun little grass and normal type.
Oh,
in the end,
okay.
it is just paper, a fairly mundane part of the human world. But
Yeah.
enough of that. Let's take a look
There's
at
paper
Scryber,
everywhere, especially where you
the
don't
scroll
want it.
Pokemon. This
What I
peculiar
mean, that is my
grass-type
mail when it's
Pokemon
spelled
has
day.
woven
Ugh.
and flattened its fibers into a thin and flexible sheet. Scryber enjoy documenting.
You know,
and
it's a
collecting
joke
things,
that if you use
which they
fire
roll
type
up in
attacks
their flat
on
bodies.
grass type, they
Their
die
fondness for
instantly.
paper
But
and ability to squeeze through
I think
tight
this would die
openings means they
instantly.
have quickly overrun
it's literally a
all
piece of
the
paper. I put a
libraries
match
in
on
the
this
region.
thing, dead.
And its ability is analytic, so that boosts move power when the
It's not only
Pokemon
dead, it
moves less,
fades
so you
into
kinda want it to be
non-existence.
slow. Now, I'm sure that some of you will not be a fan
Oh,
of
its eyes
the
are
normal
see-through.
typing, but I actually see this
That's
as another
interesting.
opportunity
I
for
like that
regional
detail.
forms.
I thought it
But
was
before
white,
we
but like,
speculate
no,
on
it's
any of
see-through.
that,
Huh.
let's take a look at the final evolution. And
Yeah,
as if
regional
there was
form,
any
origami.
doubt, we have to
It could
go
be different
forward.
pieces of paper. It could be construction
Now,
paper.
I
It could
knew
be
that I wanted
white line
this to
paper,
essentially
something like
just
that.
Be a book, since it's the normal type.
Take a look at a
but
book
we have
reading
to have a couple
Rainbow.
details
Reading
to
between
give it
the
a little more
lines. I can do
personality.
this all day,
First,
but I won't.
Not to be too obvious, but it just needs a ribbon bookmark tongue. Right?
Obviously.
Maybe that's too on the nose, but it works for me.
Hey, it's a fun idea. I
And
like the
secondly
idea.
is how we get an eye on this thing.
Well, you give
When
it based
I was
off the
first
unknown.
brainstorming, I was thinking, the eyes could be.
The Eye of
peeking out from
Anubis.
between the
It's the new
pages,
Bill
or, like,
Cipher
torn
book
bits
at
on
time
the
of video
cover.
release.
But then it hit me. You know what shape has an eye and is already tied to the written language in the Pokemon world? The unknown.
Cacturn.
By plopping an unknown shape on the cover, it gives us a fun thematic eye. For this rendering, I'm just using the A, but I actually
That'll
love
work.
the idea
Oh
that
boy.
whatever you have named the Pokemon, the starting letter will be reflected on the cover.
That's a fun
Oh,
idea.
and you'll see when we get to the Dex entry that
I thought I was going to say
otherwise,
regional
it's
variants,
actually
all
fine for the letter
26.
to change if you ever decide to
Plus
rename your
exclamation
Pokemon.
marks.
So that's pretty awesome. I love it. Oh, it also wasn't completely intentional, but I am also enjoying the kind of mimic vibes that this
It does give
gives
a little
off.
mimic vibes.
Alright, but
the
let's take a
chests
look
from some
at
video games.
Librano,
I think it's mostly Final
the
Fantasy.
book Pokemon.
But I might be
The
wrong.
pages contained within this Pokemon's mouth
That's a
are
really
covered in
spooky,
strange
shiny
symbols.
art.
Researchers suspect that there is some connection to the Pokemon unknown, but nothing is conclusive as of yet.
It's on the freaking
Each
cover,
battle
you
that a
morons!
Librano participates in changes the symbols on their pages.
That could be a
They have been
coincidence.
seen
Could be,
stealing
could
books
not
and
be.
gifting them to their trainers. Its ability remains analytic.
And it's even
so
called
it wants to be
Librano.
slow, so it can hit hard. It's pretty mysterious.
Hit things
and
really,
strange,
really
and
hard.
honestly,
I mean, if I
think
get
it's
hit by a book, I'm
refreshing
going
to
down.
have
Oh, it's a
fully
hardcover
evolved
book.
normal type
Softcover
with
book, I'll be fine.
interesting lore. But I would love to hear what you think of it, and what regional forms you might imagine. It's fun to have this.
One's fiction,
strange
one's
split
non-fiction, one's a
evolution
kid's
tree
book,
that
one's a dirty
still has a good
magazine.
amount of
I
possibilities.
could do
So
this all
I haven't
day.
actually figured out.
I like how
this
in one it
split
becomes a
evolution will
motorized
work, so
vehicle and the other one it
let me
becomes
know
a
down in the
book.
comments below if
I
you have
think
any
one's a little bit more
ideas
cool than
what
the other.
should
Like,
determine
books are
if you
fun and
get
all that
a
stuff,
fibril
but
or
cars are more
Scryber,
valuable.
Bonus points for any
Well,
new
arguably,
and
it-
wacky methods. Alright,
They're
a
not
huge
comparable,
thank
which
you
makes it
to
even
First
more random that you
Melody
thought,
and
"Oh, these
Seven
can go
Things for
together."
their
What?
suggestions. It's been great to work on some more bonus content again. I think the next one will be tackling some evolutions for the Paradox Pokemon in
We want
Pokemon
Pokemon to
Scarlet.
look like
So
robots.
keep an eye out for something along those lines. Thanks again.
Also,
for
we want their
watching, and
names to
please
suck.
Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I'll
Ugh.
see you at episode 25.
I'm not gonna start
when we
ranting,
will
'cause I
finally
won't be able to
confront
stop.
Professor Ginkgo. Bye.
That'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to that one. Like, I wish that was in the 25 stuff. Go! Yay. But this was an interesting way of doing things with the motorcycle. It's not motorcycle, but like one side going down a more interesting vehicle way, and the other one's like take a look in a book. It's interesting to say the least, and inspired. It's sort of what I wouldn't go with. Here, you can become a motorcycle, or you can become a book. What? Okay. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. So I guess it was with a crossover. Yes, it's a literal book. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Thank you, Danny Phantom. So I guess there's a bit of crossover there. Thank you, Principal Lancer. So I guess not the most ridiculous thing. I mean, there are books on motorcycles, so yeah. I know. It's weird, but I can wrap my head around it. All I know is I bet Esco wasn't happy when he heard about the clink. But yeah, here's the stuff with this. I'm more interested in progressing the story though. So yeah, overall, cool stuff, cool designs, good work, really cool to see. And yeah, that's 4 episodes done, or 2, or whatever you want to call it. Either way, good stuff. Glad I checked it out. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!